You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hello once again, and welcome back to a brand new year of Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. It's 2021, and my name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Happy New Year, everybody. How we doing? How's 2021 treating you?
Oh my gosh.
You guys got stimulated.
That's true.
I haven't been yet.
Oh, you haven't. Michael and you got stimulated. I haven't been stimulated yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's $600 appeared in there. So they figured out how to only give us $600.
Yeah, that's it. What a way to start the new year. Yeah, so
don't spend it all in one place.
That's right.
Yeah, don't worry.
Like the massive debt that has accumulated over the past
Exactly.
year.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll fix everything.
Well, I had a very low-key New Year. Not much going on. I just kind of stayed home and watched some movies. Have you guys been watching any movies as well?
Save Martha! Puny God. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm Batman. Kneel before Zod! On the roof! Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
I've been watching quite a few movies, yes.
That's the first segue of the year, and I don't like it. That was weak.
Yeah, bad.
So I assume you're putting together your list for 2020.
Yeah, it's
like
no fun.
You always do, but it
Not
won't be.
fun.
It won't be like years past, I'm sure.
Well, no, I actually looked today to see when the last year of movies, because I have lists that I keep in this app, keep track of. I had to go back to see what was the last year that happened that did not have a movie that is in my top 100. And it looks like it was 2008. And that's this year. I mean, I'm not done watching movies, and I'm enjoying the movie. A lot of the movies I'm watching, it's not like it's a failure to watch these movies that I'm desperately searching. I mean, I would like to find some diamond in the rough, but there's nothing. This year is a year that my number one probably wouldn't make it in my top 10 any other year. So,
well,
it's like that.
Yeah, I shared that the other day, the article with you guys that I read online, one of those Facebook articles that claimed Bad Boys for Life was the top grossing movie of 2020. And who would have thought when did we go to see that? January? Was it January we went to see that?
It was my birthday. It was my birthday present.
That's right. Who would have thought when we ventured out, we were venturing out to the biggest movie of the year at that time?
Yep.
Who would have known?
Wow.
It's true.
That's crazy.
I'm glad we did. We can say we did it.
Yep.
So
I'm definitely feeling that crush now of like all these movies that are streaming and that are out there. I'm like, I need to watch that. Normally I feel like I have plenty of time to watch anything. I'm rarely in a hurry to watch the newer stuff, but I'm like, there's probably still a dozen movies from 2020 I'd really like to see, especially before we record a show about them.
Yeah. No, all right. Take your time.
all 12 of them. Yeah, so we had some pretty big, couple pretty big releases on streaming and in theaters on Christmas Day this year.
That would have been giant blockbusters that would have made more money than Bad Boys, but just
it wasn't in the cards.
Weren't possible this year.
So most importantly, what do you guys think of Disney Plus's Soul?
That's on my dozen I haven't got to yet.
Ah.
So you guys feel free to review it. No worries about spoilers or anything. That's all right.
What would you want to be known for on Earth? We only have a short time on this planet. You want to become the person that you were born to be? Don't waste your time on all the junk of life. What am I doing? Spend your precious hours doing what will bring out the real you. The brilliant, passionate you that's ready to contribute something meaningful into this world. I got the gig. I really need a haircut today, man. Can you fit me in? Whoa, sorry. What the? Hello? So what do you want to be remembered for?
Probably for doing this funny cowboy dance.
Great.
So I guess that leaves me. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
You
I
liked
had
it?
some problems with it, but I liked it.
I saw some reviews of that movie that were just absolutely over the moon for this story.
Right?
And we watched it Christmas Day, and I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. It was cute. I got the point of it, but I'm not sure I'm ready to rank it up there with, Pixar movies like Up. I just, it wasn't quite there for me. Like, I recognize how good it is, and people made a point to focus on like the animation itself and how far it's came in 30 years, and that I totally agree. That's great. Like the way they did the story about featuring African American culture without trying to put it down, without trying to make it ridiculous or embellished one way or the other. I thought that was really nice. I obviously noticed that and had some of the same thoughts about it. The voice acting was fine. I thought Pete Docter directed it. I thought he did a good job. It just, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it. It just wasn't up in that upper echelon for me. So
this was Jamie Foxx in the lead role. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he is a musician.
He plays
I know that much.
Yes. Very good.
A jazz musician.
Oh, jazz musician. Okay.
Wannabe jazz musician, and as he is trying to become not a big star, but just trying to get better gigs. He teaches I think middle school music. He's works part-time or something. So
yeah, it's his day job.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best. I don't want to be super negative about this because I liked it and it will be up there for me this year. But
yeah,
there's so many problems with it to me that I just don't even know where to begin. But I did think this is the Michael movie. This is the Michael movie.
Michael, I think Michael, if he hasn't watched this, will really enjoy it.
Will it not devastate his entire life? Will not be an event for him to realize they made a movie about him?
Possibly.
And how he's selling out and didn't get to fulfill his dreams, and he's took the day job and never got to make it. And I mean that has kind of could not be more blatant as I'm watching it. I was like, wow, this is going to hurt some people.
Yeah. I now that you say that, I'm interested to hear what he has to add to the conversation.
Right.
He will tell you how old Jack Kirby was when he created the Fantastic Four.
I have no doubts about that. So
and it ain't
tell
over
me
for
how
me.
old I was when he went to work this morning. That's what
It ain't over for me.
Yeah,
so did Tina Fey save jazz the same way Ryan Gosling did?
Well, that's a major problem in this movie.
Good. I was hoping it was.
It's a major problem. I don't know what they were doing. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I seriously don't. Tina Fey was. I mean, I've always liked Tina Fey, but she's problematic, and why you cast her in this, I don't know. I mean, she over the last few years it's a topic of conversation how she blatantly, I do what I want type thing. I don't care about writing problematic things. People had problems with stuff on Saturday Night Live, and then Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. They did stuff, and it's just like she likes to push it. She doesn't care, and that's fine. But just don't.
Yeah, there's
put
an
her in
argument
the
for
movie.
that comedians should make that. What is I should be able to push the envelope.
Right.
That's fine in your day job.
Exactly.
But when you're working for Pixar, is that a whole different thing?
Yeah, well, it's not that she didn't do any of that in this, but it's the way it looks when you, of all people, to make Disney's Get Out, where you take a vessel of a black man and put a white woman's voice into him, and she will now. I mean, everybody that is anybody has already seen this, so I'm not, and you wouldn't understand it anyway. But she is now the entity inside him, moving, voicing, animating that African American character,
visual, yeah,
right, and doing it better. That, like, the whole point is she's better. She's living his life better than he was.
Yikes.
It's a little bit of something. And then there is a scene, I swear to God. Okay, Cliff has not seen Get Out, I guarantee. Yeah, everybody know what the sunken place is? You know what the sunken place is, Jordan, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, I'm going to describe it to you, Cliff. The sunken place is where, like, it's in a teacup in the movie, but imagine, like, if just something opened up and there was just a black pit,
right?
That you fell into, that you fell into, and you couldn't get back up out of it, and it was really scary.
Let me get my cup here so I can stir it.
Right, yeah, exactly. But are you imagining that thing opening up and there just being a black pit that you fell into, and you couldn't get out? Did that not exactly happen in this movie?
Yeah.
To a random African American guy, that happens to him, and they just it totally devastates his life. They leave him sitting on the side of the road. Best part, it's the wrong black guy that they did this to in the movie.
Oh,
right, Cliff?
Wow.
Yeah. They sunken placed the wrong black guy in this movie. It is amazing that Disney did this. I just can't even believe it.
Pete Docter is very good at what he does.
Yeah.
But as a company, an animation studio, I think we're seeing the unfortunate happening of John Lasseter not being around anymore. he was the story guy. He was the idea man. He birthed all these wonderful stories through the years that they've made into movies. And, he did some crappy stuff and had to go away. And now I'm not sure we have somebody that stepped into his shoes very well. Yeah.
Now, getting off of that stuff that was insanity to me. I like the movie, but what I don't like it really tugs at your heartstrings and gives you that. I mean, how many things have you seen that the moral is, you got one more chance type thing? You look that always is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And but honestly, the whole concept is nonsense, and it was these little whatevers.
Yeah.
We're gonna psychopaths or whatever. We're just gonna send them. They're just jumping in a hole, and there's ships going around. It's so much nonsense. Like they're adding some things for kids. It's like they want to have a concept, they didn't totally think it out, and then they tried to make some funny stuff for kids. It's like it was way more well done in Inside Out, like all of that.
It kind of reminded me with some of the animation. It kind of reminded me of those kind of before the 1960s. Animation was all about making the characters look real, authentic. We're going to study how a deer moves for Bambi. We're going to have real life models for Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella and Tinkerbell, and so we can study the movement so we can replicate it onto the page. And then the 1960s came around, and people were doing a lot of drugs, and they started experimenting even with animation. So you started to see just lines going kind of off the page and breaking that fourth wall and doing a lot of different things. And that like the Jerrys and the Terrys and all those characters reminded me a lot. Like it just felt like it came out of some Disney short, not even just an animation short from the 1960s. So I don't know. That's kind of what I thought of as I was watching it through the thing. So, but yeah, I mean, I like I said, I thought it was good. Regardless of whatever, I know a lot of people really liked it, and I'm sure maybe if I watch it a time or two more, maybe I'll get a little bit more love for it. But as a whole, I don't know.
An overall recommendation, but a few more little nitpicks than you're used to for a Disney film.
For a Pixar film.
It had good messages.
Yeah.
I did think the animation was great. All the acting was great. I thought the concept, some of the parts were nonsensical. I thought they could have done so much better than the little baby souls that are weird and
I mean, was it even are kids gonna like it? Like nothing about this sounds like a kid's
I feel
movie.
like you have to pay. Full disclosure, I watched it twice because I fell asleep the first time and I didn't want to misjudge it. So I watched it again, and I feel like you have to pay really close attention to even understand what the concept is with the souls and stuff, Like,
I can't imagine a kid thinking deeply about like regret and lost chances, and like that doesn't seem like
I don't know. That's pretty clear. That's pretty clear. Like, seeing him, watching him have a new perspective on his life was impactful and pretty clear, I thought. And just the whole, I love the concept of thinking you're here. This is your, what do they call it? A spark. there was a misunderstanding of what your spark is, and basically people what they think their point in life is.
Right.
And I don't think, I think a lot of people think that they were put on Earth to do some certain thing, and like that's basically what this character is. And it's just like you were put here to do. I mean, there's not one thing necessarily that's your thing. You were meant to do this one thing. I think that's a lot of what this movie's trying to say. And that even if you ever were to accomplish your dream, you better be prepared that you're still just going to be you. And
right. Are you saying I wasn't born? I wasn't put on this earth to podcast?
They're going to say some mattress. I just mean like, are you are you going to be able to live with it if you do make it? Is it going to fulfill you like you thought it would? I don't know. I did like it.
That one thing does not make you who you are is that's a pretty easy way to simplify the movie as a whole. So
is the music good at least? Is it good?
Oh yeah.
Does it make you like jazz anymore?
Yeah, music, the soundtrack's always good. Like I said, the animation was
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well, they did.
Reznor saved jazz. Yeah,
exactly. Disney's got this nailed down. They know how to do it. You want to? I'm telling you.
So, but I kind of felt like it was for me, it was kind of on par with that Onward movie that came out.
I thought it was better than that. Honestly, Onward was fine.
Onward was fine. I went back and watched it again, and I liked it more the second time.
I could see that. Yeah, I thought Soul ranks above Onward for me, and I liked Onward. Like, I mean, it's hard to not like any of these movies.
Right. But I just didn't feel it was in that Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Monsters Inc. Up echelon of their movies. So
every movie now has to be the most deep, with the most complicated concept, with dealing with every feeling and emotion you could ever have, and the whole universe. That's Pixar now. You have to solve the world.
Sometimes we just want cars, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. Anyway, feelings about Soul, regardless of the crazy things that happened that I thought were what?
Well, the real test, I'm guessing, in the Barnes household was which one did you watch first? Soul or Wonder Woman 1984?
Which one do you guys think we watched first?
I'm guessing Soul.
Well, now that immediately tells me that he thinks we're going to guess Soul, but for some reason they watched Wonder Woman first.
We did watch Wonder Woman first.
Oh.
How'd that happen?
Well,
that was a long wait.
We were big fans of the first Wonder Woman movie, and my wife and my daughter were. I'd say my son was pretty excited about the second one coming out too.
This world is not yet ready for all that you will do. Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
Citizens of the world, I'm here to change your life.
Anything you want. Anything you dream of, you can have it.
You look like you saw a ghost. Diana, look at you. It's like not one day has passed.
I don't want to be like anyone. I want to be an apex predator. You've always had everything, while people like me have had nothing. Well, now it's my turn. Get used to it.
I've never been one for rules. The answer is always more. The way I fly, they will never find us.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
Radar.
Will they shoot at us?
I was very intrigued about the fact that Maxwell Lord was going to be in the movie. You know, I'm the Booster Gold fan. I love that. That's one of my favorite villains. He's a villain, but he's not a villain. You know, to if you want to quote a Pixar movie or a Disney movie, it's like Wreck-It Ralph. And Zangief says, "I am bad guy, but I am not bad guy."
Bad guy. Yeah, we had not. Nick had never seen the first Wonder Woman. It's on HBO also, so I was like, you know, Nick, I like the first one. Let's watch it again.
Yeah.
So I had never watched it a second time.
Wow.
So I mean, and I liked the first one, so I was glad I had not watched it a second time, so I could watch it with him. That's really why I'd waited. So we watched it.
I rewatched the first one a couple days before too. It's kind of crap.
Yeah, it was good.
Let me give you a couple statistics about this movie.
I'll do it.
Wonder Woman 1984. The movie had 7 release dates.
Yeah.
Going from December of last year, and it got moved to not compete with Star Wars. It got moved to not compete with other stuff. It got moved because of COVID. So it had 7 official release dates. It is the 9th film in the DC Extended Universe. And at 151 minutes, it's only the 5th longest DC movie, which I find hard to believe.
Wow.
Because it seemed real long. But it's only the 5th longest at 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Now, if I had to guess, I would have said you guys didn't like this movie.
Oh, it's a big turd.
I really liked the first one too. I mean, we had nitpicks like we always do, and criticism, especially about the third act, the final villain thing. But the first 2/3 of that movie, I think, are terrific. I think Gal Gadot is really amazing.
We have to call out. I can never watch. I was so like, I know there's something about this sword. Like, I know there's a point that I made a big point in our review the first time that I didn't like, that something happened.
She had to go up to the roof to get it.
That she literally stops and it's like, oh crap, it out of my sword. They cut, do a scene somewhere else, come back, and it shows her landing. She had went up on the roof and got the sword. It's the worst editing ever done in a movie. Like, why was that in the movie? Oh, so bad.
And I saw, like, Patty Jenkins had been doing a bunch of press and interviews, and I saw some quote she said of, like, yeah, she didn't really like some things that happened at the end of that movie either, but the studio was meddling. Like, she was kind of saying she wanted to end it a different way, but it's not her fault. So who knows? But she's heard the criticism, I'm sure.
It wasn't any worse than most of them. It was just typical.
Yeah, most of these movies, and usually a lot of these movies, the first one's not even the best. Like, the first one sets up the origin, and then in the sequels, you really get exciting stuff. So I was as excited for this movie as I've been for a DC movie. Like, I was really hoping to really get something out of this, and within half an hour, I was just like, what is happening? This is not what I signed up for.
As soon as they were in the mall at the beginning, and they start doing the action, and it's very Shazam-y. It's none of that gritty, feel the bullets hitting the shield in no man's land. It's flippity doo. I got a fish. I was like, what the hell? I did not like that. And I don't mind superhero-y action. You know, hamming it up a little bit, but that wasn't the precedent they set in the first one. You know, it wasn't gritty at all.
I had that thought too, of like the difference. You know, even her costume is very bright, and I like that. But I liked her. I liked her World War One grittiness, or whatever you want to call it. That motif they did back then, because I felt like it fit into that movie at that time period. And I felt like her bright costume and her flying around and doing all the stuff with the lasso and all that stuff, I felt like it felt very cheesy 1980s. That was what the 80s were for, you know, a lot of people. So in that regard, I did not hate this movie at all. My wife enjoyed it.
Those parts of the movie I was fine with. Anytime she was in costume was fine. It's the 75% of the movie she wasn't in costume that just bogged me down, and just kind of the logic just went out the window, and just from scene to scene, like, why are they doing this? Why are they going here? What does this have to do with that?
It's a superhero movie.
Their concepts are ridiculous. I don't know why they made a lot of decisions they did. Was so cringy, like the whole thing with Steve. Like, what? Why is he quantum leaping into this guy? Why is she raping him? Why, you know, this poor guy doesn't know what that his body is getting used for. You know, he's not a part of this at all. It's just so weird. It's like,
if I got to be Chris Pine for a week, I don't know, maybe I'd
give away my money. Remember it. He doesn't even get to remember it. Like, he's like, I did what?
But wasn't this like it? Just the whole thing felt very 80s DC to me.
That's exactly what it was to me. This movie felt like a movie made before Iron Man.
Yes.
This movie felt like a movie made in the 80s or the 90s. And like, not in a good way. Like, it was sloppy and just kind of and it doesn't have to be gritty. Like, I would be okay with a fun-loving Wonder Woman. But she was mopey and like didn't really want to be a hero, but that's kind of the DC
That's
aesthetic,
the problem. That's the whole problem. We can just spoil, right? Everybody's seen the movie. The whole thing is, you can wish for something. And, you know, she wishes for him to come back, basically, you know, right?
Mm-hmm. And unknowingly, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he can't just come back. It's a wish. Why has he got to be in somebody else's body?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was totally unnecessary. And why is she so nothing about the whole thing? It's like they utterly failed the climax of this movie, where first off, okay, apparently because of this, she's losing her powers. Everybody loses something, you know. She's slowly losing hers. He drags her across town, and then we're like, they just repeat the ending to the first movie, where he's like, I gotta go save us. You know, it was like, no, it is so obvious how you fix this. Wonder Woman is the hero. She realizes, she gives that speech after that I don't know how everybody's supposed to have seen the speech. The cameras fell down and everything after Max Lord, but she gives this very, like, I felt something when she gave the speech telling everybody, you know, to give up what you wish for, all this stuff. She didn't. He had to say, she should have went over and said, basically opposite. Steve should have been like, I don't want to die. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here and be with you. I want all this. And she has to make that sacrifice of, no, I'm going to give this up for the greater good. And I miss you. And I pined for you. This whole time, all these years, but I'm doing this because I'm the hero. I'm making the decision. And I'm going to tell everybody else to do it. But no, she's like, you got to go again.
But that's not what he said. Like when he arrives, though, and she says, he talks about where he's been. He's like, I don't know. It was great. And then I woke up and I was here. And like, it's almost like the whole movie is, I felt like a little bit of a dream sequence just to fill in that, because they're trying to hammer in a story because she was not supposed to be around between Wonder Woman and the Batman versus Superman movie, right? She's been gone the entire time. She's been in hiding. But then
photograph of her.
Yeah. Right. So how do we get another story out of that somewhere in that time period in between? Which was
shoehorn in a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, it was hard. That's a hard thing to do from the beginning. It just is. Like, how do you backtrack? How do you retcon all of this stuff you've already set up?
It seems like they did that with a lot. Like, well, we need to get the invisible jet in here. How do we do that? I don't know. Let's do this. This armor looks really cool. Why would we put her in this armor? It doesn't matter. Just get her in the armor. That looks cool.
But
it just seemed like a bunch of ingredients that they didn't have a real good recipe for.
They could have done it. They could have done it right. Why did they do it? Like, what, she needed to have lost her powers and then go get the armor or whatever, have to do that. Why is it was just so nothing? It's like after setting it up.
Right or wrong, I don't think we are the intended audience for this movie. Because I can tell you right now, my 13-year-old daughter absolutely loved it. My wife loved it.
I would have guessed kids would be bored. Like, there's so little Wonder Woman and so little action.
Like
the scenes at the mall and stuff like that, those weren't kooky enough or fun enough to me to wow.
Right, that's because the audience isn't for you. Or the story isn't for you.
Well, I think that's bullshit. Honestly.
I'm just
that
telling you.
That makes me mad to say that. There's plenty of freaking superhero movies out there that make sense, that are for everybody. Mm-hmm. And just being lazy to say it's for these certain people and we're not even going to try to make a coherent story.
I can tell you, my watching experience with the two of them was completely different.
I believe that people liked it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a couple tweaks and everybody would have liked it. It's like you could have made things make sense. Just make her a hero,
right? But we can't. What my point was, it's not. Not everybody had the same viewing experience you did.
I just said I agree with that.
Yeah,
I'm saying not everybody could have made everybody like it if you just don't do stupid things.
Yeah.
Everybody loved the first one. 13-year-olds loved the first one. That's what I mean. So did I.
Because things made sense. It's like all you had to do was let her be a hero, and I don't know.
And part of the reason I really liked this movie was a big reason why other people did not like this movie, and it was the Max Lord character. I
liked him.
I thoroughly enjoyed him. Like,
ham it up.
Yes, 1980s Max Lord. I thought Pedro Pascal. And the same thing. They tweak stuff with him. They tweak stuff with his storyline. And
it wasn't like a Donald Trump parody, which I thought could have been. Ugh.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was like it was just like 80s business guy, self-help guy. Like it was its own thing. It wasn't a direct parody of something.
But why why is his son just bopping around on the highway? Why did he not? He lost his son. He should have realized, I got all this, but wait a minute, where's my son?
I've abandoned my boy.
So I've got to give this up, and now my son will be back. Not this very sloppy, oh, wait, there he is walking by the highway.
Well, I gotta say, I thought when the Dreamstone stuff first started happening, I kind of rolled my eyes like, this is kind of silly. But then I had to admit, it's no sillier than an Infinity Stone. Like, it's no goofier than what Marvel is doing. So that's fine. It's a concept from the comics that is like is one of those things. Like, hey, I've seen that before. That's neat.
Right.
But it didn't all fit together. But to go back to Seth's point. Buffy the Vampire Slayer did that in like 1998 by killing Angel and saving the world. So she solved the whole problem the right way decades ago.
Right.
With autonomy or whatever you say that.
It's right there in front of you. You set it up.
But that's the whole thing. Is this is the feminist movie, like it or not? Okay, Captain Marvel was, we'll say, a mixed bag for people. There are people who really didn't like it. Wonder Woman was pretty well universally loved.
Yeah.
Patty Jenkins was universally praised. Gal Gadot was beloved. Like, they had the formula. I remember us talking about, the camera and the male gaze, how it didn't even exploit that skimpy costume. Like, it did everything right from a feminist point of view. And then this movie is about a woman moping for 60 years because her man left her.
Right.
And then the villain becomes the villain to impress a man. She's trying to impress Max Lord. And it's like your hero and your villain are terrible examples of feminism. It's like, how did you bungle this so hard when you had the template already set up? I didn't hate it. I was very bored by it. I thought it was very long, but just these little details that just nothing quite fit together for me by the end. And I just, missed opportunity is what I
think they had the framework for something. They could have been just as good as the first movie. I liked the concept. I liked Max Lord. I mean, Pedro Pascal hit it out of the park for all I would want from a villain. Mm-hmm. He was totally invested in what he was doing, and that guy left it all on the court. He was not. Yeah. He was. It was never too much for me.
Hey, when you get to take your helmet off, you're gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna make the most of it. I saw a lot of criticism online, in reviews, people saying he was terrible, he overacted everything, and to me that was movie? Exactly. To me, it was just Max Lord. Like, that's Max.
What Kristen Wiig was good, except it's a tropiest trope of the nerdy person being cool, but she did a good job.
She was playing Selena Kyle, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just like, oh well, she lost her niceness.
Mm-hmm.
I wished for this, and now I lost it. I'm nice, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought
trying to track what people were losing. It was tough, but
I thought if anything, it just, you guys, Jordan's talking about it being boring and slow and all that. I felt like it was a little too over romanticizing the whole Steve and Diana thing. Now, for me, I just think other people in this house didn't feel that way, but
I just think it could have been even more of that. That I like those two together, and I thought it was they did such a good job within the first one. I could see why you'd want more of that, and he's like established in the comics anyway, so it's just like
right.
I like their relationship, but it would have been so much more impactful for me if he'd have been wanting to stay and she had to give him up. She had to make the decision and not have to be talked into it again, that he had to be the guy that saved the day and leave. It's like, come on. Anyway, overall, that was something.
And the original was 3 years ago. We're 3 years away.
17,
17. And again, I watched it on my laptop in my living room. Like, sitting in a theater, maybe the grandeur of it would have blown me away, and I wouldn't have noticed how long it was. There wouldn't have been a bar running across the screen telling me there's still an hour and a half left, and I was like pulling my hair out. No, it was not. But how did the special effects get worse? The effects of her running, it looked like a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
It was so weird to see her like running around along these cars. And Cheetah, we thought from the trailer, you could tell Cheetah was not great. So
yeah,
I saw somebody joke that the ad campaign and the posters used up all the color for the movie. They ran out of color. They couldn't put any more color in the movie when Cheetah showed up.
Yeah, I honestly felt like they could have just left that character completely out of this movie. Max would have been enough for me. It wouldn't have made a difference to me as far as the Cheetah character goes. But I like the color.
The stuff with the lasso, like there's some cool fights. It wasn't all bad effects, but there were just moments where I'm like, oh, that looks so cheap.
I wondered.
You had 7 release dates to fix this. You could have gone back. fixed all this.
And I don't know if that was supposed to be like a nod back to, look at, it looks like the classic 70s television show, which obviously there are some nods if you watched all the way through to that show. So
what the hell why was Linda Carter saved for the post-credit scene? Why could she not have been in the movie as that character, even if it was
bestowed the armor to her? Like, it showed where she got the armor.
Quit putting things that should be in the movie in the post-credits.
Her scene was heavily, I felt, maybe I'm wrong, like they tried to de-age her in that scene. Like, have you seen Linda Carter lately? Like, I mean, she's Linda Carter, but I thought she looked quite a few years younger in that scene than. You
can go out on that limb by yourself, Cliff. We're not gonna
we're not touching that.
Then
all I will say is that she did fine, and like Jordan's saying, a scene with her being that character in the movie works way more for me than it didn't have to be long. There's plenty that could have cut out to put that in. But,
and what even is it? Is she the main part of the third movie? Is it just a wink?
It's just a
reference.
Wink.
Like, it didn't.
Feels like a wink. Yeah.
It didn't amount to anything.
It was just a, hey, we didn't put her in the first movie, and
which was weird. Yeah.
Here she is. That's it. That's all it was. This is not a Marvel movie. I mean,
say that again.
But they're not trying. Well, like every time a DC movie comes out, I feel like you guys expect it to be a Marvel movie,
because
and none of them are going to be a Marvel
movie. I just want a good movie. The first Wonder Woman was a good movie,
but even that one you had a lot of problem with, though.
And it's the only one we got this year.
You didn't like Shazam. You didn't like Justice. You didn't even see Justice League. You haven't liked any of the DC movies.
I did. Your feelings are so hurt. I liked Wonder Woman, the first movie. I did. Yeah. I thought I had problems with the ending, but there's lots of movies that have problems.
Yeah, we all
did. So no, you're not going to put me in this I hate every DC movie box, because it ain't true.
Which ones do you like?
All right, show me a list.
There's 8 other ones.
Yeah. I like Dark Knight. There's good stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, in a normal year, we're used to getting 6 or 8 comic movies every year, and this as far as big budget extravaganzas, this is the only one we got, and we got it on our TVs on Christmas.
Hey, I'll take that. Keep pumping stuff right to services I already have.
Right, because we're only 2 weeks away from the first Marvel show.
Yeah, and one every couple months starting up is fine with me.
I don't know. I'm sure I'll watch this again in a couple of years, and I do that with every comic book movie. We get on here and criticize and pick it apart, and then I rewatch. Like, it was fun. Like, I have less
expectations.
Mm-hmm. I have my bar gets lowered because I'll remember how much I didn't like it, and then I watch it and be like, oh well, that wasn't that bad.
I guess they didn't reach to the screen and punch me in the face when I watched it before. Felt like it, but no.
Every time one of these DC movies comes out, I try not to go into it with unrealistic expectations, because I realize this is not Kevin Feige. This is not the Disney Marvel machine pumping stories out that always work. It's a convoluted mess, and that's what we're going to get from DC. But I'm always happy to see those characters represented. I like, it's like Aquaman. I liked Aquaman. People hated Aquaman, but
it was better than this for sure.
but I like seeing those characters that I grew up with up on the big screen. And maybe I'm not so judgmental because I grew up on Super Friends and silly stories with these characters that it didn't matter. It was about symbolism and sometimes just having fun. and bright colors. So my expectations are I love those. That's what I like. I never liked the
I just like flashing colors.
Yeah,
I do.
We find just send them a gift basket of toddler toys.
If it sparkles and it's bright, and I'm all in.
Well, it must have made somebody happy because they've already announced they're going to start pumping these out. What they say, 2 a year now for direct to HBO, and I forget what the schedule they said was, but it seemed a little excessive. But
that's the motto: excessive. Let's just do it.
HBO excessive.
It's HBO
all right.
Max.
I think we did it. We ought to make somebody mad.
We all owe Cliff an apology. Because I think we hurt his feelings. So we hope we didn't hurt your feelings, listeners. If you like the movie, tell us why. Like, what are we wrong about? Or if you liked it less than us, tell us why.
If you say nothing, we were right.
Or just your silence shows how right we are. All right, so that will do it for this one. Thank you for tuning in and checking out our most recent movie reviews. We'll have a lot more on our next show. We'll be back soon. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
Seth, goodbye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.